Friends, we are here at one of the most heavenly racetracks in the world with our friend Tom Drewer from Radical, director here of the U.S. operations for this series that is really taking off. This beautiful panoramic setting here at Road America only shows a sliver of the Radical entry list for the weekend. This is the second paddock because there's so many cars, Tom. 36 entries this weekend across 3 classes, more than any other series here. We've got IndyCar, Indy NXT, all the ladder series, more cars in Radical than any other series. Tell me about this as we start to take a walk and look at some of the cars, because I want folks to appreciate this is blowing up, and for all the right reasons.
It's unbelievable. We've had 3 huge grids so far this year. Of course, it all started at Sebring, but really it comes down to this one, the SR3, the bread and butter for Radical, and just such a great car for people to enter and get into their motorsport career. Very well balanced. Of course, it uses a motorcycle-derived engine, which is a little bit different, but that creates a really visceral experience. High revving engine, over 10,000 RPM. Sort of a simple car where it can be, but sophisticated where it needs to be. And of course, all the mod cons as you'd expect, 6-speed sequential gearbox and around about 135 brake horsepower. This is Evan Slater's car, and he's been doing a good job in the series. Came to the Radicals after doing some Trans Am, and a young kid, as we've got many young kids now starting to populate the series. We've seen that, of course, with the likes of Graham Rahal Performance, who are using this as a bit of a stepping stone.
And you mentioned the 135 horsepower, which might not sound impressive.
Sorry,
no,
230, yeah.
230, but the part that really makes that magical is these are lightweight machines. Incredibly safe, very stiff, everything you would expect, but these are very nimble machines. But like we speak about with the open wheel ladder, which has a very well-defined step, starting place, move up and move up even higher, you've developed the exact same thing here with Radical, which is why we have 36 drivers this weekend.
Yeah, and you mentioned the stepping stone. So the step up from the SR3 is its big sister, the SR10. Jim Booth, one of our longtime competitors, coined the phrase the torque monster, and that's because of that beast in the back. A 4-cylinder EcoBoost derived engine, completely rebuilt by Radical in the UK, and 435 brake horsepower. Mated to a Hewland gearbox. It's actually a Formula 2 casing with some GT3 internals. And
adding turbocharging, that's where fun really, really starts, Tom.
Absolutely, and it's also a really different driving experience because in that car, it's all about momentum, tromping the throttle out of the corner because there's not a whole lot of power, whereas this is a little bit under-tired. It's a little bit heavier in the rear end.
And that makes it fun.
A turbo, you've got to manage the throttle out of the corners, and 170 mile an hour down into turn 5, Canada corner, and of course into turn 1 here at Road America. So these guys are manhandling these machines, and a great step up from the SR3. Of course, competitors like, we've got one guy that's come out of sprint cars and have gravitated to the SR10 because of that horsepower. But
the Radical Cup North America program, again, it's not new. It's been around for a good long while, growing year by year. And one of the things I love as well, you mentioned drivers coming out of sprint cars, open wheel, all kinds of places. You get to meet folks with really unique backgrounds and find about their passions, why they're here. Why don't we do that right now?
Absolutely. So I've just found Richard Girosha. You've been a long time Radical Cup competitor, Richard. What actually brought you to the series?
You know, obviously when I first started doing wheel-to-wheel, Radical Cup was my very first race. And had been doing a lot of track days, got my comp license, having fun, and a good buddy of mine moved to the series, was telling me about it, and it just sounded unreal. So I jumped in. He moved on, I'm still here.
Well, over the years, of course, we've really grown the series, big grids now and big events. So I guess if you could just explain why the draw, or what the draw is of an IndyCar weekend for someone like yourself.
Well, you look at me, and obviously I'm not as young as some of these guys out here, but when I'm here, I feel like one of those Indy guys. And so I really feel part of things, and I don't know, it just makes you excited to get out of bed to come out here and just be part of it. It's fun.
We went for a bit of a tour of the paddock last night, and then over in that sea of motorhomes and campers. The atmosphere is unbelievable. I imagine it's pretty interesting when you're behind the wheel as well, seeing the crowd on the sidelines.
Oh, it is. It's great. All the kids are waving. You wave back, you know, and it makes their day. But the thing is, it actually makes my day. And that's the thing about Radical Cup. We go to some phenomenal tracks. Road America being my favorite, but all of them are like this. But when we're out of the car, of course, we have amenities where we all relax. We pick on each other on our driving, or where we gave things up on the track. But it's from A to Z. When we pull in to check in at registration until we load out at the end of the weekend, it's nonstop fun.
And we were just talking a little bit before about the SR3. You mentioned that you came to road racing in a Radical. It was your first car. But what makes that SR3 so special? Because there's so many customers that we have that have had car after car after car. I think one of your teammates, Jim Booth, he mentioned last night he's on his 14th Radical.
Right. So, particularly the SR3, and that's what I've driven the whole time, the 1500 class, which is, in my opinion, the most competitive. The car is just very forgiving. It's frankly easy to drive. I'm not going to say it's easy for me to go fast, but it's easy to drive, and it always gives us the opportunity to, you know what you get, and the support you have, just, you know, the feedback the car gives you and being able to communicate that back to your engineers is really a great thing.
Well, it certainly has been an amazing mousetrap, and you've certainly added a lot to the series over the years. Long-time competitor, I really appreciate it.
Well, Tom, thanks for letting me be here.
All right, well, I've just found one of our newer competitors, Blake McGovern. Welcome to Road America, mate. What a big weekend for you.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here. It's my second Radical Cup event of the year. Was at Barber, which was a great introduction. But Road America is awesome. It's a beautiful area. Wisconsin's beautiful. The people are nice. They're all coming out to support us. So happy to be here and put on a show for them.
Yeah, well, you guys did put on a show, and of course you're on the podium yesterday. So good introduction. Amazing job, because you've only been in these cars for such little time.
Yeah, so got started at, we joined Apex Motor Club in Arizona last year. My dad's raced other series previous for a couple of years, and I've always kind of pushed him that I wanted to get in a race car. So once we joined Apex, they've got a great racing series with a bunch of Radicals there. So it made sense to be the car to start out in. Had a great experience in their club series, ended up winning the silver championship. Decided we would try out the Radical Cup series, and so far so good. We've had 4 races and been on 4 podiums.
Yeah, it's been a really impressive debut by yourself. The cars are interesting though, aren't they? Because you've come into this as a novice. Obviously you've found success quickly, but I think that really is down to the dynamics.
Yeah, so it's a great car, and I think it's good that I started in this, so I didn't have habits from other cars that I needed to break. It's not like I was changing from a GT over or anything, so my first real racing experience was in a downforce car, which I think was super beneficial. Just getting in, doing things right from the start has been a huge help for me.
Yeah. The other thing I've got to ask is, you're one of numerous father-son combos here in the paddock. So what's it like racing with the old man, and I guess competing directly against him?
It's been an amazing experience. Got to spend a lot of time together, which is great. I have watched him race for the past 8 years, and now to finally do it side by side with him is amazing. It always seems to happen that we qualify right next to each other, so I'm always coming down the front straight next to him, which is pretty cool. And I know he's very proud of me and what I've done, but I think it's come as a bit of a surprise to him. I think he thought I was gonna show up and he was gonna kind of put me in my place, and so far I've gotten the better of him, which feels good.
And I've noticed that there's quite a good atmosphere. It seems that off the track, while everyone's racing pretty hard on, it just seems like the camaraderie is really strong in the paddock.
Yeah, everyone's really friendly with each other. At night we go out to dinners together. We talk about what happened during the day, talk about how to get faster on the track, especially here with all the Crown guys. It's a great team. The crew's awesome. The engineers are awesome. Have a couple good coaches with us, and it just really helps you get faster every time you go out on the track, and it's great to work with other drivers in doing that.
Tom, thanks once again for a look inside the Radical Cup North America paddock. Not only do we love this, but the cool part was so many of the events as part of the IndyCar weekends, huge crowds. Some of them who are seeing the series for the first time, but massive amounts of fans who get to see insane racing. All of your members of the series love it. The drivers, the families get to be here, look and feel very important in a big highlight setting. It's a wonderful place to be.
Well, it is, and I mean, it just gives all of these guys the opportunity to show their talents in front of the IndyCar team owners. Of course, a lot of young kids trying to make a mark in this sport, but it's great. The crowd seems to lap it up. Yesterday, everyone stuck around for the Radical races, and with such big grids, I really feel like actually it's almost the Radical Cup Series supported by IndyCar. So it's amazing to have such a great atmosphere here and really put on a show for the fans. They really seem to respect what these guys do out on the track.
Subscribe to Racer and save 24% off the cover price. You'll get the print and digital editions with an issue archive through 2012. Visit info.racer.com to learn more.